Mountain bikers, whether you're a beginner or an intermediate rider and you're looking to get your front wheel up onto or over more objects, if you're riding a hardtail or full suspension bike, this video is for you, because what I'm going to do is show you that it's not that difficult. All you need is 5 progressions to help you lift that front wheel up and to get over those obstacles. And we're going to look like one of my riders, Jason, here by the end of this video. My name is David Davidson. I am the co-founder of Mountain Bike Academy, and I'm on a mission to help 10,000 riders shred with confidence. So if that's you, if you want to transform your riding, this video can. If you let it, watch all the way to the end, because if you skip any of these progressions, you're going to miss out. And let's dive right in. Now, progression number 1 is we need to actually get the front wheel to lift up off the ground. Now, why this is so important is because when you start with trying to ram into an obstacle, it can just be frustrating. Now, I'm talking a little bit more to the beginners right now. Those obstacles that are in front of you may look a little bit intimidating. I've seen riders look at a little piece of trail like this one right here. If you notice this little stick, this can even be intimidating to some mountain bikers. And if you just go at these objects and ram into them, watch what happens here. If you're able to lift over it, you can be smooth and you can ride past the object. We can keep our momentum. So that's why this first progression is so important. Now, how we're going to do this is we're going to get the front wheel up by 2 ways. I know I'm going to go into a lot of detail here, so bear with me. When you're coming up to an object, you can practice keeping the torso in the same spot. And as soon as you start pedaling faster, let the bike move forward under you. And as soon as your hands get to where they're straight, your front wheel will lift up, just like that. It's kind of like magic. So that's method or technique number 1, where you're trying to get your front wheel up over a small object. This can help you have less fear when you're out on the trail. This can help you be more confident, and you can just literally ride over it. The truth is, if you can ride your front wheel over something, your back wheel will generally follow, because more of your weight is on the back wheel. All right, so that's technique number 1. The second thing I want to talk about with you to get the front wheel up, a standing spring. How we're going to do this is we're going to get on the bike and start riding like this. And I want you to bounce on the pedals using just your legs, okay? So you might stand up really tall, you might be a little bit more crouched like in this video. And why this is so important for a beginner rider or an intermediate rider is because we need to be able to influence the bike using our feet and not our hands. Our feet can influence the entire bike. Our hands are pretty much only going to move the front fork up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to smash down so hard on the pedals. I go into depth in this in my 12 beginner basics video. You might want to check that out. Drop the torso, step 1. Ankles, knees, elbows, super relaxed. Just dropping the torso down nice and quick. Second step is we're going to push through the feet. See that right there? Second step, push through the feet. Step number 3 is just stand up and get out of the way and let the front wheel come up. That's it. When you practice this on the bike, it will allow you to do things that you didn't even realize were easy. Now, most of the time, what we do instead is we pull on the bike like this and we move our torso down and pull our hands up to us. It just doesn't work. Don't waste your time with that as a rider. So this first technique, it's as simple as, again, dropping the torso, loading the feet, and then just kind of standing there and getting out of the way, and you let the front come up to you. All right? How this should feel is the front just kind of, oh, there it is. I caught it. It came up to me. Not, I have to pull on the bars and yank my torso forward. That's not what we're doing. We're just standing up and letting the front of the bike come up to us. Technique number 2, going to be how to do this while seated, all right? Most of the riding that we do on trails, on climbs, is going to be a seated front wheel lift. And while you're doing a seated front wheel lift, you want to use the same principles that I just talked about. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to actually, I just realized that my camera's mirrored. So like this is my right hand. Yeah, we're mirrored. That's fun. So it's not going to read intense. It's going to read S-nest-m-dim. That's the brand of my bike. Thanks for following along today. All right. So as we're coming up to an obstacle, we want to do the same thing. We want to be pedaling up the hill, and we want to allow that front wheel to come up and then ride over the obstacle with the back wheel. All right. So getting this, this is actually like a really, really helpful thing. I don't even like climbing. It's not that fun. I'd rather be bombing down hills. However, this is the only way to bomb down hills, is to go up unless you have access to a shuttle lift park. So a really, really good technique, and you should pay attention to this if you're an intermediate rider as well, because a lot of riders, what they do is they work a lot with their upper body and they're doing a lot of bench pressing and upright rowing to get over. Really what it is, if you notice, I want you to notice this little gap of light coming in from above my saddle. Watch this right here. See that little gap of light? I make it appear, and then as I go over, I let it disappear. All I'm doing is two things. So the second technique here is the seated front wheel lift over a rock or a root on a trail. And again, bear with me guys, because I'm going to go all the way to the big stuff where it's 2-foot square ledges and stuff. We're building up to it. You need this though. As you're pedaling, what you're going to do is you're going to pedal faster before you get to the obstacle. So I'm about a bike length or two away here, and I'm going to start pedaling faster. I like to call it momentum before mountains, okay? Momentum before mountains is step number 1. Step number 2 is I'm going to move my torso up. See that? Now, as the front wheel is coming up, you might not see very much of a distance between myself and the saddle. What's happening is actually my body is here and the saddle's moving up and away because the front wheel's moving a lot and the saddle's moving a little. So as I'm moving up, the entire unit goes like this. Does that make sense? So as I move my torso up, the front of the wheel comes up, and it's coming up because I'm pedaling harder, all right? Now, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to move my body weight forward. That's what creates the gap right here. Now my front wheel is over the obstacle, and I can pedal through and get the rear wheel. I mean, this is like an 8 or 9 inch root. This is not tiny. It's almost up to my axle. Didn't realize that. So there you go. That's how you can ride smoothly over an uphill rock or root, and it allows you to control your pedaling cadence. That's why that's so important. Now let's move on and talk about number 3, and I'm just going to kind of build up here as we go. So let's talk a little bit more about a 2-step climb. A 2-step climb, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. So we're talking about 24, 26, 30-inch kind of obstacles that we're getting our front wheel over. And this is where it gets to be a little bit more difficult. So let's watch this video together. In a 2-step climb, what it is you lift the front wheel, place the front wheel on top of the obstacle, then you jump again to bring the back wheel up and over. There's a couple variations of this. I'm actually going to show you this one first, then I'm going to show you how to roll over it. This one is all about timing. So if you've got the front wheel lift from step number 1, the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we get the wheel high enough to actually get over the obstacle. So what you might have to do, depending on your skill level, your technique, your background, is what we're going to do is we're going to have to either initiate a manual and get behind the bike to get the front wheel up higher, or you're going to have to hit down harder in your standing spring to initiate a bigger rebound. I kind of like the manual because it allows me to float and adjust my timing a little bit. It does take more energy and it takes more skill to do that. So the benefit is if you have the skill and if you have the extra energy, you can time that front wheel kind of floating a little bit easier. All right, now this move right here, this is what gets you to where you can be like Jason, one of the riders in Mountain Bike Academy. What he was doing, this is how you do it. This is the precursor to it. And let's go through step by step. So we have, again, tall position here. You want to be tall, standing up with legs really kind of extended, just like this. You can see by the muscles in my neck that I'm about to get ready. So what I'm about to do is slam down hard. Oh my gosh, my face is intense. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Maybe zoom in on the screen. I look like I'm about to punch a bad guy, like violently. So anyways, you violently express your downward force to compress both the shock and the fork. All right. And now with timing, I'm going to go ahead and explode up with the front wheel. And in this case, I'm rocking back. So this is the manual I was talking about. This isn't the prettiest form, not going to lie. And what this does is it floats the front wheel up. You can see the front wheel spinning. This is actually not the best timing. Still a good, decent example. So what happens is as soon as the front wheel touches the obstacle, I move my weight up so that I can jump off of the platform I just created, all right? So now I have two platforms to stand on. One is the back wheel on the ground on low trail, and the front wheel is up here on the trail on the top. So this allows me, if my weight is anywhere in between the front axle and the rear axle, between this point and this point, as long as my weight is in between here and I push down, something's going to come back up, because for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Now, check this out. The next move I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off of my feet, which is the second platform. I've got one foot in front of the other, and I can push off as long as I'm between the front and the back foot. I can push straight down, and no matter what, everything's coming back up, all right? And there I go. I'm just going to jump my body up. Remember, the torso first, everything else follows, and then what you do is you push your hands forward. Boop. Back into, I mean, that looks like I'm just riding on flat ground in a low position, right? So there we go. That's it. So 3 steps. Again, front wheel lift, which is back here. Lift the front wheel. As soon as you create a platform again, then you jump again off the feet. You might find yourself pushing into the hands too. That's okay. This is a pretty complicated move. And then step 3 is push the hands forward. Some people call this a lunge. Some people call it a punch. There you go. At the end of the day, you can ride away into the sunset. Sorry, I didn't get the camera angle for the sunset, but it's definitely there. You can see it the other way around. All right, so that's number 3. It's the 2-step climb. And let's dive in and talk about the roll-up method. All this one is, it's a front wheel lift, and then you put your weight where it needs to be. So front wheel lift, boom, spring up. Timing is important. What you're going to notice too, the bigger the climb, this one is about 3/4 of a wheel height. You're going to notice that you may be crouching the upper body with an extended lower body in order to make this happen. That's because the front wheel is coming up to you and you don't want to be behind the bike. If I get behind the bike right here, then what's going to happen is the back wheel is going to slam into this rock and my weight's going to fall forward, and that's not going to feel good. Instead, what I want to do is be over the difference between the bottom bracket and the rear axle. That way, I'm in front of this thing getting knocked out of the way. So what will happen is if the rock hits the back tire, it's going to create a directional force this way, and it's just going to swing the bike up behind me. Can you see that? You can pedal off in the distance. All right, so that was technically technique number 4, which is the back wheel roll up. I like picking the back wheel up. It's just a little bit safer. I have a little bit more control, but that's that. So let's go on to the next one here. There we go. Yeah, let's watch it again all the way through. Step 1, front wheel lift. Step 2, roll it up, get the legs out of the way. Kind of cool. It's helpful to see it a few times. By the way, I'm making this video because I had some people say they wanted to slow things down. Thought this would be nice and slow for you guys. Let me know. By the way, let me know in the comments if you prefer this longer form, sit here and take notes, talk you through it like a classroom format, or if you prefer the fast, like the other videos that I do. All right, here's step 1, boom, and then a quick video, then again in slow motion, and then I move on to the next thing. More than half. This is actually 5 times easier to edit to do it this way. It's just a lot more of me talking, which I don't like. So you guys let me know in the comments. I'm here to serve, happy to help. So that's that. Now, final technique, I want to talk about what actually Jason's doing here. And again, I wanted to celebrate, I have a lot of footage. So when someone sends me in their footage, they usually don't send me all the progressions. They just send me the final. Here's what I'm working on. So check this out. Jason is one of the riders in Mountain Bike Academy. He's demonstrating what I just talked about right there pretty perfectly. So let's talk about this with a hardtail for just a second. This technique, again, he's doing the front wheel lift a little bit off screen. As soon as he's got a little crouch there, as you notice, but his balance is just in between the bottom bracket here and the front wheel. As soon as he gets the front wheel up, now he's got a platform where he can push anywhere between the front axle and the rear axle and still remain in balance. So that's exactly what he does. Jason moves forward ever so slightly, and then explodes up with his body using his athleticism to go full extension. Okay, this is the key that I want to talk about on a hardtail. On a trail bike, you're really just kind of using the rebound. So I push down so that the rebound pushes me up, and I might not really ever fully extend on a full suspension bike. I may or I may not. With a hardtail, you need to execute full expression of range of motion. And so part of what we work on with Jason is, and he already had, frankly, really good flexibility, good mobility, and he needed to work a little bit on raw strength. And when he did, man, watch this. So full extension through the body, and watch how much expression here. He goes from having his head almost to hit the top of the pole barn all the way from down here, okay? So this is a rapid, violent move, and he only rolls forward 2 to 3 inches. All right, so I want you guys to get that. The final technique is just adding speed to the move. And if you're riding a hardtail, you have to add all the speed because there's no rebound in the fork or the shock that's really helping you out. The fork isn't really helping you that much on a hardtail, okay? So really it's just adding that crazy amount of speed and then throwing the hands forward much quicker. The benefit is a lot of times hardtails are much lighter. A lot of hardtails are 27.5s, 26s, so they're more maneuverable bikes to begin with. And again, once you're in this fully extended, body extended this way position, the only thing you need to worry about is throwing the hands forward. The feet will follow. It's just mechanics. It's how it works. So when you throw it forward, what you might find is you're in a fully lunged out position, which is awesome. And then you can return to center and pedal off like a absolute gravity gangster. Look at that. So I think that's so cool. Really big shout out to Jason and to all the other riders who are doing these moves in the program. Super cool. So the final thing I wanted to talk about, I kind of talked about sort of 4 to 5 there. Let's dive in a little bit deeper around how to jump up the jump. Okay, so I know this is for beginner intermediate riders. So intermediate riders, this one is a little bit more for you. However, beginner riders, if you get the first move and you do what I just talked about right there, which is adding speed to it, you can actually do a bunny hop and skip the whole where do you land your front tire thing completely. All right, so there's my intense, spelled backwards, is esnet. All right. So as you come up to the obstacle, it's a little washed out on the screen. I apologize, but you can see the 2 rocks right here. They're actually stacked one on top of each other. Watch this. You can do a massive push and then actually jump completely over the entire thing and ride off into the sunset. Pretty awesome. All right, so this is exactly how to do the hop up front wheel lift. And 2 ways to do it. You can do it through a pure manual, front wheel up manual like this one. Again, the benefit of doing this is now I can kind of float right here. Let me move this out of the way. I can float right here and kind of wait until I need to spring off of the back. Boom, there's that spring. If I jump vertically, in other words, I don't put the bike in front of me and hang off the back, I can lift the front wheel up and go like this and pull the bars to me. That way I've got to time it a little bit more perfectly, but it's a lot less intensive on your muscles. It's just easier to do. So if you just add speed by lifting the front up and then jumping off the back before anything touches, you just fly through the air, throw the hands forward, and then get back in that riding position, ride off into the sunset. That's it. So let me know what you guys think about this format. If there's anything that I skipped, go check over the 12 beginner basics video I did a couple weeks ago. It's gotten like almost 100,000 views on it already, and I'm an itty bitty channel. So people must really like this thing. If you like this video, hit the like button right now. Share it with some other mountain bikers. Again, David Davidson, Mountain Bike Academy. Happy to talk with you today. Peace. See you on the next one.